You're loud.
Most High in Christ. Shalom, brother. This is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. We've been on these streets since 1969 telling blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that you are the true Jews of the Bible and that this is your history written in the Bible, written in the scriptures, okay? When you read about all these great wars and all these great acts that were taken by this brother or that brother, you need to understand that is your brother. That is your people that committed these great acts. It was our people that defended the Middle East as our homeland for thousands of years. Okay, for what's called centuries, Salakia, without having access to metallurgy, meaning we were using wooden weapons to fight people who had access to metal. Okay, it was our people that destroyed Egypt single-handedly by the power of our God. Okay, give me 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. Today, what we're going to speak about is a special holiday to our people known as Hachaanakah, or in the English, it would be the dedication, when our people were actually enslaved and taken over and occupied by a foreign force known as the Greek Empire. Okay, we're going to get into the history of these people and how they came into power. And what that meant for us. But the main thing we need to know is why it's important to understand their power structure and why this is a good thing to see them in power. Give me 2nd Ezra 6 and 9.
God, 2nd Ezra chapter 6 verse 9. For Esau is the end of the world.
Esau is the end of the world. Meaning what? Esau is the last nation that shall ever rule the earth. The so-called white man, it's a beautiful thing to see him in power here on the earth. Why? Because it shows and lets us, as his people, know that this is the end. The Esau will be the last nation to rule the planet. Keep going.
And Jacob is the beginning of
and it. What?
And Jacob.
Keep going.
Is the beginning of it that followeth.
And Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. Meaning what? Everything that's going on, right, is the beginning of it that follows. Okay? Meaning we shall rule the planet for all of eternity after this white man falls in thermonuclear warfare. Okay? That's his destiny. But at this moment, he's in power. So we have to understand what that means for us. Give Bible Kushai, give me Genesis 27 and 38. We have to understand what that means for us. And to do that, we have to understand how his power structure works and how he comes into power, okay? Because it's detrimental to understanding who he is today and how he operates today. You got it?
God.
Read. Okay, Genesis. Now stop. Before you read that, understand, this is Esau's blessing by his father Isaac. His father Isaac, gave both him and his brother Jacob blessings, okay? But Jacob's blessing was to rule the planet, okay, for eternity, which is what the Most High just said in 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. So but now we're about to get this. Keep going, read.
Genesis chapter 27, verse 38.
Right.
And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing? My father, bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept.
Meaning what? Esau's crying. Why? Because Jacob got the better blessing. Why? Not because Jacob was a shyster like these cats would like to tell you. Jacob did not steal anything from Esau. God wanted Jacob to have the birthright. That's how God had it set up. God did not have it where Esau would inherit. Okay? So before they were even born, the Most High said Esau would serve Jacob. Keep going.
Verse 39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, my dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth.
The fatness of the earth. What is that? That's everything beautiful, Charles. Everything beautiful in this earth at one point will belong to our oppressor. Our oppressor, like today, because this is a prophecy, right? That's come to pass. Okay, this has happened and it has happened in. Esau has the fatness of the earth. Keep going.
And of the dew of heaven from above.
The dew of heaven, meaning all the beauty and all the greatness from heaven, from above, right, is for you. Keep going. For our oppressor. Keep going.
Verse 40. And by the sword shalt thou live.
And by what?
Thy sword thou shalt live.
Meaning what? the Edom, what's called our oppressor, lives by the sword, meaning everything he's gotten, or that fatness, or that due, is by a sword.
Rape, robbery, and bloodshed.
Rape, robbery, bloodshed. That's exactly it. He's gotten everything he has by putting a sword to people's necks. He's gotten everything he has by extorting every nation and what's called abusing them and bullying them and forcing his ways upon them through war and bloodshed. Keep going.
God. And shall serve thy brother.
And a time will come where he will serve us, though. A time he will be a bloody man who gets to live deliciously off the evil that he does, but a time will later come also where he has to serve us. Why? Because what's called Esau is the end of the world, and in the end it will be a very bloody time. What's called it's so bloody that there's not even blood. What's our oppressor's greatest weapon of warfare? That thermonuclear bomb. That's not bloody. That's how destructive our oppressor is.
Right.
Keep going. Wait, stop. You have to end it for it, right? No, Kyle. Keep going.
And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck.
Meaning what? Now drop that. Give me First Maccabees 1:1. Meaning what? What's called a time's gonna come after he's done it. What's called he's gonna be underneath us, but a time's gonna come where he's going to rise into power, and he's going to be a world superpower. Okay, and that's what that's referring to. He's gonna break our yoke off of his neck. Okay, now drop that. Give me Maccabees 1:1. And we're going to get into this. Now, why is it important to understand this? Because it's important to understand how the Edomites came into power, so you see that the prophecy came true and why it is we do not deal with these people. Okay, keep going.
First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 1. And it happened after that, Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian.
This is who the history books will call Alexander the Great.
Right.
Okay, keep going.
Slack, if I may, sir.
Come.
Did they called him Alexander the Great, but I heard that they really called him Alexander the Greek. Was it the
that is just both? You'll see both. Come.
Slack. The Macedonian who came out of the land of Shittim had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes.
The Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, okay, that was the last nation that ruled over us. When you read Daniel's the 7th chapter, you'll get a list of all the nations that have been over our people. Okay, the Persians and Medes were the people prior to the Greeks. Okay, and Darius was their king or their leader. Keep going.
That he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece.
Meaning, okay, keep going.
Verse 2. And made many wars.
And made what?
Many wars.
And made what?
Many wars.
Keep going.
And won many strongholds.
Keep going.
And slew the kings of the earth.
So now you see that Alexander, this Edomite, okay, this descendant of Esau, this oppressor, this devil in the earth, did nothing but read from the top, verse 2 and
come on, verse 2. And made many wars.
All he did was make many wars and slew the kings of the earth. Read verse 3.
Verse 3. And went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations. And so much that the earth
took spoils of many nations, meaning what? He got the fatness of the earth. He got the dew of heaven. Everything great in everything great in the world, Alexander was able to get. Why? Because he made many wars and slew kings, the kings of the earth. Keep going.
And so much that the earth was quiet before him.
And so much that the earth was quiet before him. Okay, what does that mean?
That he couldn't be defeated?
Yes, but give me a little more.
That he ruled over these lands that he conquered? That
right.
Everybody paid tribute to him, and
Right? You had it, but okay, here's what I mean. Like, you ever watch Friday? Remember when Chris Tucker was like, yeah, Debo think he all that, but like when he leaves, I start talking again. The earth was quieted before him. Nobody's talking when Alexander comes in the room. Nobody's talking anything. The earth is quieted by America and Donald Trump. Like Donald Trump, like people, like 4 years ago, people were really afraid of Kim Jong-un. until Donald Trump got on the scene and Kim Jong-un had to realize, nah, this cat is either as crazy or crazier than me. So I'm gonna shut up with all that, what's called, I want to blow everybody up. Because he'll really be stupid enough to press the button. I'm actually just trying to scare people. He's stupid enough to press a button. Right. I'm gonna be quiet. The earth was quieted before Alexander. Keep going.
Whereupon he was exalted.
Whereupon he was exalted. I'm gonna shut my mouth and just let him be king. He got it. He got it right now. He big dog. Keep going.
And his heart was lifted up.
And his heart was lifted up. I'm the man now. Right? Read verse 5. Let's see how that works out for him.
Verse 5. And after these things, he fell sick.
He fell what?
Sick.
Keep going.
Salakia. And perceived that he should die.
And perceived that he should die. Keep going.
Verse 6. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and have been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive.
Meaning what? He took his generals, his 4 generals, and parted his kingdom amongst them. Right? Keep going.
Verse 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died.
Alexander reigned 12 years and died, right?
Verse 8. And his servants bare rule, every one in his place.
Keep going.
Verse 9. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves.
Meaning what? They all said, well, the king's dead now, so we'll all be king over our specific region. Keep going.
So did their sons after the many years.
Now, to understand, this is where Democrats and Republicans come from. Everyone right now is questioning about, there's about to be an eviction crisis. Like, I think the official numbers is there's tens of millions of people that if Congress does not do something by December 31st, they're kicked out on the street. They'll be out on the street in a week when the courts allow evictions again. Right? And because Democrats and Republicans can't even come together on issues that have nothing to do with evictions, these people might be put out on the streets. This is where that spirit inside of our oppressor's nation comes from.
God.
That spirit of we shouldn't be divided. Inside here, you will be divided or you will shut your goddamn mouth and get your head cut off.
Right.
In the name of Jesus Christ. Okay? In this nation, there is no, what's called, I believe this and you believe that. There is no separate factions. We are one body, one what's called, one baptism, one doctrine. Right? Keep going.
So did their sons after them.
Okay, and meaning what? They kept up this idea that we shouldn't be united, even though that's how we got all of this. We should stay separated. Keep going.
And evils were multiplied in the earth.
Okay, now drop that. Give me 11.
Okay.
Okay, so what did they do after that? They started to do evils in the earth. Keep going.
Verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us.
Meaning what? Keep going, keep going.
For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
Meaning what?
Meaning that they're catching hell now, so it's better for them to part with their enemies so that they can have a piece of comfortability.
Okay, all right. So okay, but give me more.
So they would rather do evil.
They would fit it into the day.
God, they would rather celebrate Christmas. They would rather eat pork, be with the other nations, commit sin, follow after the heathens of the follow after the customs of the heathens.
That's kind of it, but you want a little more. Because remember, they're saying we're messed up. God. What can fix black people when they're messed up?
Keeping the Lord's statutes, commandments.
No. What do they believe can fix? What do black people believe will fix them when they're messed up in a messed up state?
Joining with the oppressors.
How?
By voting.
Voting.
God.
I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna ask for citizenship. I'm do whatever I have to do to show the oppressor that I love him. So maybe he'll give me some love back. Maybe I won't be in this bad state I'm in right now. Keep going.
God. Fourth Salakia.
So
verse 12.
Right.
So this device pleased them well,
This device pleased them well. Now drop that, give me verse 20.
Verse 20.
Okay.
And after that, Antiochus had smitten Egypt. He returned again in 143rd year and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude.
Man, what? He went and killed. Now, once again, remember, Ptolemy is a devil. For those who don't know, Ptolemy is the father of the great grandfather of Cleopatra. Cleopatra is a white woman. According to the Bible and according to pedigree, okay, you are the seed of your father. Cleopatra is a white woman raised inside of a white Egypt. No different than a South African woman, than a white South African woman. Keep going.
Verse 21.
Okay, after this cat, Antiochus, which was the leader of, like I said, Alexander split up his empire into four. Okay, the main two you need to know is Ptolemy, for that reason, for the whole Cleopatra reason, and Antiochus, who's known as the King of Asia. He's called the King of Asia because he ruled that region. Okay, he, after dealing with Ptolemy, decides to come into our land and keep going.
Verse 21.
Have a great slaughtering. Keep going.
Verse 21. And entered proudly into the sanctuary.
And entered into our holy sanctuary, our temple. Keep going.
And took away the golden altar.
The golden altar, right? Keep going.
And the candlestick of light.
And the candlestick of light. That's right here. Okay, there was a bigger and much grander one made of pure solid gold. He stole that. Keep going.
And all the vessels thereof.
And he's not the only heathen to do that. The Romans as well did it. The funny thing about that is they actually have an archaeology on it. Huh. There's a bust of it. I can find it for you. Keep going.
Verse 22. And a table of the shewbread.
And the table of the shewbread. Keep going.
And the pouring vessels.
And the pouring vessels. Meaning he's stealing everything from us. Give me, drop to verse 24.
Verse 24. And when he had taken away, and when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre and spoken very proudly.
Meaning what? Meaning what? Our people want to go and we want to support these other nations and support the heathen. But the heathen comes around and massacres our people. The heathen comes around and disrespects our culture. The heathen comes around and just steals our belongings, right? Speaking proudly about it. Who speaks proudly? Joe Biden. Our pastors, right back in the 90s, in the 80s, were complaining to this government, right? We want to join with you so you can help us deal with all the drug addicts in the community. So Joe Biden gets together with President Bill Clinton at the time, right? And they say, we're going to create a genius way to, we're going to create a bill that not only creates more cops, but makes it so that if you do a certain amount of crime, you get to go away for the rest of your life. And I'm not going to care or pay attention to the fact, now mind you, this is Joe Biden's own words. I'm not going to care or pay attention to the fact that I put you in this predicament. We don't have time to worry about that because you're a threat to society, even though I'm literally 2 seconds ago just admitted I'm the reason you're a threat to society. But yeah, now it's time for me to become president. He tries to say, well, that's your fault for doing it. That's your fault because your pastors and your leadership supported it. Which, I'm going to be real with you. Joe Biden is correct. Your pastor should be the first person who gets the blame for 3 strikes law, for the crime bill. Your pastor and your religious leadership and your black politicians are the main ones who should be held accountable for all the destruction in the black community. Every death by the hands of a police officer in the black and Hispanic community can be attributed to black leadership saying we want more police in our communities. Instead of saying the obvious thing, which is what? What do you think the obvious thing would be, Shaw?
Instead of us coming together following the Lord's statutes and commandments?
Yes, but give me a little more. They're saying we need the police we need the police to deal with our communities. What's the obvious solution, though?
We govern our own selves.
Say it.
We govern our own selves.
We govern our own selves. Okay? That's the wise idea. Instead of saying, we don't have things for ourselves, so let's build it for ourselves, these brothers here in Maccabees said, well, we don't have it, so the heathen has it, so let's just ask for that their hand. Why are they wicked men? Because the scripture says, never live a beggar's life. And that's what you become when you do that.
God.
Okay? Now, we just dropped off at 24. Give me 29.
Oh, God. Verse 29. Salaki, we're in 1 Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 29. And after 2 years fully expired.
Now, that's one instance of our people being massacred, right? Keep going.
The king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came into Jerusalem with a great multitude.
Right, with a great multitude. What is a great multitude? Do you know, Charles?
It's an army, sir.
Right, in this context, it's an army. Keep going.
Verse 30. And spake peaceably unto Slakia, and spake peaceably, Slakia, and spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. For when they had given him credence,
like they allowed him. All right, cool. What do you want? Keep going.
He fell suddenly upon the city.
Meaning what? We may not like Antiochus, we may not like Ronald Reagan, but Bill Clinton can play the saxophone. So we'll vote him president, and then he'll fall on our cities with 3 strikes law and more cops. Keep going.
And smote it very sore.
Keep going.
And destroyed much people of Israel.
Okay, meaning what? They killed hundreds of us, thousands of us. Keep going.
Verse 31. And when he had taken the spoils of the city.
So they're robbing us again, right? Robbing us even further. Keep going.
He set it on fire.
He set the city on fire. Now, not only are they robbing us, they're setting our city on fire. Okay, keep going.
And pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side.
And pulled down the houses and walls, meaning he's destroying everything. He's completely ransacking our city. Right, keep going.
Verse 32.
This is our capital. Keep going.
But the women and children took they captive and possessed the cattle.
But the women and children took they captive and possessed the cattle. Meaning what? They enslaved our women and children and just took the cattle. Keep going.
Verse 33. Then builded they the city of David with a great and strong wall, and with mighty towers.
Right.
And made it a strong hold for them.
Meaning what? They killed us, right? Burned down our city, stole all our wealth, enslaved our women and children, and then took over the city and made it a military base for their men. Keep going.
Salaki says, it's saying that they just killed the men, right? They killed the men, but they spared the women and children to have them in captivity.
Right, basically.
Come. Verse 34. And they put therein a sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves therein.
Meaning what? That's your Chinese, your Japanese, your Arabs, everybody that comes into our communities to make $1 off of us. Yeah, that's the wicked men. Okay, drop that. We about to get out of what's called. Give me 41. We ain't gonna take too much time.
God, verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
What does that mean? That's democracy. That's everybody comes together as one. Right? We're all one people. Keep going. We're all Americans. Right? African American, Italian American, Asian American, so on and so forth. Keep going.
Verse 42. And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
Now, what is that talking about? The Arabs said, okay, I will leave Allah. The East Indian and the Chinese said, I'll leave Buddha. The Asians also said, I'll leave Buddha. The other East Indians said, I'll leave Brahmin and Hinduism. Okay. The Africans said, I'll leave African spiritualism. All to follow Zeus. To follow Zeus and Hercules wouldn't have existed yet. If I'm not mistaken, that's a brother. So on and so forth. That's what they left to follow, right? Why? Because the heathens are weak. The heathens, like today, Africans, like you'd be surprised, Africans love them some Jesus. Africans love them some Jesus. You'll find the same thing with Asians sometimes, right? But you got to understand, the main thing is, as I said last week, our oppressor is called the most cunning beast of the field. Subtle beast of the field, Salaki. Meaning what? He's that serpent in the garden. Meaning what? You don't realize you've been taken over and you've been enslaved, because his system of doing things like Christianity is such an easy religion. Like, what do you really have to do to be a Christian? Like, what thing can I really do that'll say you can no longer be a Christian? There's like 613 things I can do that'll no longer have me counted as an Israelite.
Right.
But what do I have to do to not be a Christian? Right? So really, what do I mean by that? Meaning, the Chinese man can still have his dragon festivals. He can still technically keep the little tree in the house, little Buddha tree in the house. What's called them Arabs are already mixed Jesus in with the Quran, right? So it's easy for them to say, okay, we'll accept white Jesus, we'll accept Christianity, right? But they don't understand with accepting Christianity and accepting white Jesus, you also have to accept English.
Right.
You have to accept white business standards. You also have to accept white appeal and white oversight, right? Or else you will not survive. Okay? But here's the thing. We're the nation that was created to be different. Keep going.
Verse 43. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath.
Meaning what? You had many of our people, like the Sultans before, who wanted to follow after the heathen. Yeah, we'll do what the king says. We'll follow his religion. Like, keep going.
Verse 44. For the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem,
right,
and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
That they should follow the strange laws of the land. Keep going.
Verse 45. And forbid burnt offerings.
Forbid what?
Burnt offerings.
So they forbid us from doing burnt offerings. Keep going.
And sacrifice.
And sacrifices.
And drink offerings.
And drink offerings.
In the temple.
Keep going.
And that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days.
They should profane the Sabbaths and festival days. Meaning what? Our high holy days. Okay. What's it called? That we shouldn't keep them. We should leave those alone and celebrate Saturnalia. We should celebrate whatever holidays the Greeks wanted us celebrating, or whatever holidays they personally celebrated. Keep going.
Verse 46. And pollute the sanctuary and holy people.
How do we pollute the sanctuary? By cooking pork on the altar.
Right.
How do we pollute the holy people? By giving a Nazarite wine, which we weren't allowed to do. Something of that to that effect. Keep going.
Verse 47. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols and sacrifice wine's flesh and unclean beasts.
And unclean beasts, right? Meaning what? Doing all these evils and abominations, right? Give me verse 50.
From what card? Verse 50. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die.
He should what?
Die.
What?
Die.
Meaning what? What is this talking about? This is a creation of how you get what the Bible refers to as Gentiles. Those Gentiles that the Bible speaks of are not literal Gentiles, as in non-physical non-blood Israelites. Okay, a Gentile is simply someone, simply an Israelite in this context, who who left the culture. In this context that we're talking about, there were Gentiles that were forced out of the culture because of wicked men who ruled over our people. Okay, however, and it's kind.
Can you repeat that? You said Gentile is what? Can you
Gentile in this context is somebody who was forced to leave our culture due to the coercion of wicked men. However, in later times, they weren't shown mercy for what happened to them. So they were just treated like Gentiles. Christ came back to say that was wrong. And that these people, so long as they repented and were willing to come back, should be allowed back. So that's what this is about. 61, Bible Kashar, we're about to end off here.
Salaki, you said 61?
Khan.
Verse 61.
Salaki is 60.
Verse 60.
Now we about to get into the actual story of how Hachaanakah actually came to be in a minute. But I wanted to show you all of these things so you get the spirit and the understanding of why this day is so beautiful. This day is about us destroying and killing the Greeks because of the evils that were done to our people. Okay? And thanks be to God that these records of what happened to our nation thousands of years ago were able to stand today. Understand where we'd be if we didn't understand who Trayvon Martin is today. Understand where we'd be as a people if we didn't understand who Sandra Bland was, or Eric Garner, or so on and so forth, if these names were not known. Right? That's why it's important to keep up these things. Read verse 60.
Verse 60. At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women.
What?
Women.
They put to death certain women. What? Right? Keep going.
That had caused their children to be circumcised.
That caused their children to be circumcised, which is a law in our people. In order to be considered a part of our nation, a male would have to be circumcised on his 8th day of life. Any earlier, any later, you are not a part of our nation. Okay? These righteous women did the right thing to make sure that their children would not be left out. Right? And they were killed for it. Okay? They put them to death, right? 61.
Verse 61. And they hanged the infants about...
They what?
They hanged the infants
They
about...
what?
They hanged the infants about...
They hanged the infants. Meaning, as I said, this is basically an 8-day-old baby. And they hung him because he was circumcised. Right? Keep going.
And they hanged the infants about their necks.
They hung him like a grown man. This white man is the devil that the Bible speaks.
That's right.
Okay, why? Because it's not, I'm not saying this. I am not saying that our oppressor is the devil simply because of my beliefs. Who is our oppressor known for hanging? Us.
God.
Okay, and now you're seeing them do it to babies.
Right.
Keep going.
And rifled their houses.
And rifled their houses. Keep going.
And slew them that had circumcised them.
Meaning what? They messed up the house, rummaged through everything, seeing if they had anything nice, right? And whoever did the circumcision, we're going to find them and kill them too. Keep going.
Verse 62. Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing.
Meaning what? This time our people actually had a backbone. Because this is not the first or second time that we've been in this predicament. This is like the 4th or 5th. Right? Our people know and get the memo by now. We have to do what the Most High says in order to get out of this situation. Right? So because of that, we have the strength to know how to say, no, we're not eating pork. Okay, keep going.
Verse 63. Wherefore they chose rather to die.
Keep going.
That they might not be defiled with meats, and that they may not profane the holy covenant. So then they died.
64.
Verse 64. And there was a very great wrath upon Israel.
Meaning what? Everything was just getting worse. We were in a sore, destroyed state because of these Greeks. Give me verse 1. Give me 2 and 1.
Come on. First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 1.
Okay, and that's basically what was going on during this time. Now we're about to get some of the main people involved in Hachaanakah. Okay, the main one is Mattathias. Keep reading.
In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the son of Jorid, from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin.
Right, verse 6.
Verse 6. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, verse 7, he said, woe is me.
Meaning death or destruction. I'd rather be dead right now than to see this. Keep going.
Wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people?
Like, why did I have to see this? Why was I born to even see this? Keep going.
And of the holy city, and to dwell there, when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, in a sanctuary into the hand of the strangers.
Give me verse 10.
Come on, verse 10. What nation have not had a part in her kingdom?
Meaning what? Keep going.
And have gotten of her spoil.
Meaning what?
Basically, this means that he's asking what nation have not had a part in her kingdom. I was talking about what kingdom have not exploited Israel and took them captives and spoiled them.
That's exactly right. But in a more what's called sense, in this sense, who's not doing business with America knowing full well America's built off slave labor? Who's not doing business with the Greeks knowing full well the Greeks just robbed us? What nation isn't taking part in our destruction? It's a rhetorical question. Come.
All nations are.
Exactly. Give me verse 15.
Verse 15. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city of Modin to make them sacrifice.
Right.
Verse 16. And when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together.
Yeah.
Verse 17. Then answered the king's officers and said to Mattathias, on this wise, thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren.
Right.
Verse 18. Now therefore come thou first.
So basically what's happening here is this cat whose job is to go around to the king, these areas, and make sure everybody's obeying the king, knows who Mattathias is and knows Mattathias is a respected member and leader amongst our people.
Good.
So they want him to sacrifice first so that everybody else knows to do it. Right?
Good.
Keep going.
Verse 18. Now therefore come thou first and fulfill the king's commandments, like as all the heathen have done.
Because all the Arabs, all the Chinese, all the East Indians, they're doing this. Keep going.
Yea, and the men of Judah also.
Yeah, and some of your own brothers actually are doing it too. Keep going.
And such as we made at Jerusalem.
Yeah, and everybody who's still left in Jerusalem who we didn't kill, yeah, they're doing it too.
So shalt thou in thy house be in the number of the king's friends.
Meaning what? And if you do this, you'll be friends with Antiochus. You'll be friends with Joe Biden. You'll be friends with Donald Trump. Okay? Keep going.
And thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold. And
we're going to make you rich. Okay?
And many rewards.
And many rewards. Meaning what? We'll make you rich. We'll give you land over your people. You won't live a regular slave's life.
God.
You'll have a better life. Just allow me to enslave your people.
God.
Keep going.
Verse 19. Salaki, so in this context, when we breaking this down, can we name people like Jay-Z and Beyonce?
Yeah. Why not?
Verse 19. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him, and fall away everyone from the religion of their fathers, and give consent to his commandments.
Yeah, meaning what? Yeah, everybody else is going around doing whatever the king says and doing and all that, right? But keep going.
Verse 20. Yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers.
Yeah, they can leave whatever fugazi religion they forefathers gave them. We're going to keep what our forefathers gave us, though. Keep going.
Verse 21. The Most High forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances.
Keep going.
Verse 22. We will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion, neither on the right hand or the left.
Meaning what? What is the right or the left?
That means that they won't take neither side.
No. It's a little more. What is the right or the left?
So, like, is this talking about political?
No. To the right or to the left? You can't, meaning you can't move me.
God.
Meaning, what do I mean by move me? You want me to embrace Saturnalia.
God.
So Saturnalia is now Christ's birthday. Yeah, that's BS. I'm not doing that. You want me to embrace Islam? Well, it's all the same God. We're Abraham's children too. Yeah, that's BS. I'm not accepting that. I'm not gonna go to the right or to the left.
Yeah, that's a lot. So you said meaning they can't be moved?
Right, they can't be moved. I'm not going to the right or the left. You can't move me. I'm staying right where I am, which is in the doctrine that my parents taught me. My parents didn't teach me a doctrine that said that I can call an Arab my brother, because we're both Abraham's children. Come.
Another, you could also say they can't be persuaded.
Right. Well, you want to say more? No, you could. Yeah, I guess you could say persuaded. Keep going.
Verse 23. Now, when we had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on an altar, which was at motive, according to the king's commandments. Verse 24.
Okay, some cat wanted to go and wanted to sacrifice, right? Keep going.
Verse 24. Which thing when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled, neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar.
Man, what? He killed this cat who was about to sacrifice some evil and disgusting animal.
That's right.
Right? Keep going.
Verse 25. Also the king's commissioner, who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time, and the altar he pulled down.
Meaning what? The cat that they sent to tell people, yo, go go sacrifice and keep the king's law and eat the pork, eat the goat. Well, goat's lawful. Eat the dog, eat whatever else the heathen tells you to eat, right? He killed that cat too. He killed the idiot that was about to listen, and he killed the heathen that was telling everybody to do it. Keep going.
Verse 26. Thus dwelt he zealously.
Dealt he.
Zealously.
Yeah, you good.
Thus dealt he zealously.
Come.
For the law of the Most High, like as Phinehas did unto Zambri, the son of Saul.
Meaning what? Phineas was a brother who found out another brother was having sex with a heathen inside of his tent. He snuck in there with a javelin and pierced them both through, killing them. Give me 27.
Verse 27. And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, whosoever is zealous of the Lord and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me.
So now he's like, okay, it's over. I done basically gave up my life. I'm about to be on a run now for a double homicide. technically. What's called? So you know what? Anybody who's with it and wants to keep the law, follow me. Keep going.
Verse 28. And he and his sons fled into the mountains.
Him and his sons fled and ran into the mountains. Keep going.
And left all that they ever had in the city.
And let that be a lesson to you. You want to be a righteous man who serves God? These are righteous men who serve God.
That's right.
What did they do? They left.
And left all that they ever had in the city.
That's what you have to be willing to do. Like, what's called? Scripture says, and that's mainly, it doesn't say, but what's called? That could be talking about possessions. Count one sec. That could be talking about possessions. Christ said, if you love father, mother, what's called, wife, or child more than me, you are not worthy of me. Keep going.
Salakia, correction. And left all that ever they had in the city. Salakia.
All they had in the city, right?
Verse
Keep going. Well, actually, what is that? What verse is that?
28.
28. Okay, you can drop that. Give me 31.
21 card.
Now, this is a good scripture for law. Now, okay, now let me explain something to you. What Mattathias just showed there was brotherhood. Why? Why was that brotherhood, Joel?
Because he's showing his people how to be a leader in a time of turmoil, not to give in and turn his back onto the Most High.
Right. And another thing you got to understand is, what would have happened if he did? If he had eaten whatever disgusting thing they wanted him to eat.
That means that all Israel would have seen his weakness and would have partake of it in sin as well.
Right. That's exactly the point. Give me 31.
Verse 31. Now, when it was told the king's servants and the host that was at Jerusalem in the city of David, that certain men who had broken the king's commandment were going down into the secret places in the wilderness.
Meaning what? Some of our people were hiding in the wild, in the wilderness. Keep going.
Verse 32. They pursued after them a great number, and having overtaken them, they camped against them and made war against them on the Sabbath day.
Meaning what? Now they found these people, they overtake them, right? They camp around them, right? They're getting ready to take them out, and they plan it, and this happens when?
On the Sabbath day.
On the Sabbath day. Okay, now here's the thing you got to understand. The Sabbath day is simply this, a day for you to rest. Okay, meaning what? The Most High, in his loving mercy and wisdom, created one day, right, where literally everything must rest. In the kingdom of heaven, even our slaves will get the day of rest. And if we do not give it to them, we are liable. We are liable. Okay, meaning a priest can come up in my house and fine me, or worse, if I do not let that slave have his day of rest. Okay, meaning what? You get to rest. Why do you get to rest, Joel?
Because that's what the Most High rested.
No. Why do you get to rest?
Because I'm a priest?
No.
Well,
a slave isn't a priest.
The
dog isn't a priest. Well, the bull isn't a priest, or the ox that you have plowing your field. Why do you get to rest?
It's a commandment.
Yes, but why? It's a commandment that I can't eat rat poison. Why? Why can't I eat rat poison?
It'll destroy you. It'll kill you.
It'll kill you. So what happens if I work 7 days a week?
You'll be overworked and you'll die.
And I'll die, right? So what's the purpose of this law? So that I
can live.
And what's the purpose of all the laws in the Bible? So that we can live. You're about to see. It's good. It was the piece of what's called from now. Yeah, you're about to see. These cats didn't get this memo. These cats were not taught properly that the law is that you shall live. And we're about to show you. Keep going.
Verse 33. And they said unto them, let that which ye have done hitherto suffice. Come forth and do according to the commandment of the king, and ye shall live. Verse 34.
Stop. Meaning what? They was even being a little lax with it. Look, I understand this may be difficult for y'all. Y'all probably been doing this for centuries or whatever. It's your people's way. I'm not going to have a problem with y'all, quote unquote, supposedly, with what y'all have done. Meaning y'all left the city, y'all ran into the wilderness because y'all didn't want to do it. No sweat. Y'all come out, y'all eat the pork now, and there's not a problem. All right? Keep going.
Verse 34. But they said, we will not come forth.
Yeah, we ain't coming. That's why we ran out here in the first place. Keep going.
Neither will we do the king's commandment to profane the Sabbath day. Verse 35. So when they gave them the battle with all speed.
So they started fighting. So the Greeks said, okay, no sweat. We're just going to kill you. Keep going.
Verse 36. Howbeit they answered them not.
They what?
They answered them not.
What did it mean they answered them not? They didn't fight back. They let these people come and just kill them and stand there and die. Now, what did I say the Sabbath is for? The law is so that you shall
rest.
No, the law is so that you shall.
It's like you live.
The law is so that you shall live. Keep going. Come.
Verse 36. Howbeit they answered them not, neither cast they a stone at them.
They didn't even throw rocks at these people. Now understand, like we in the truth see it as y'all just off, y'all don't know the scriptures, and that's what happens. But here's the truth. Our enemies are so disgusting, they basically sat there and slaughtered undefending people. Not even defenseless. People that are choosing not to defend themselves against you. Keep going.
Nor stop the places where they had lay hid.
Meaning what? They didn't even get up to try to block the door. Like say we're standing in a house and the police are trying to force their way into the house.
Right.
They're not even. No, we're in the school right now. And they're trying to force their way into school. We're sitting here not even caring, and they're barging into the school right now. Keep going.
Verse 37.
Right.
But say, let us die all in our innocency.
In our innocency, right?
Heaven and earth shall testify for us that ye put us to death wrongfully.
Okay, yeah. So let's just show God that we were doing the right thing here. They weren't. They were supposed to fight on the Sabbath day. Keep going.
Verse 38. So they rose up against them and battled on the Sabbath, and they slew them with their wives and children and their cattle to the number of 1,000 people.
Meaning what? They didn't even take women and children captive this time. They just killed everybody. Killed undefending people. Our oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks. And this is why we celebrate. This is why we celebrate his destruction. This is why we pray for his future destruction.
Right.
Because we still haven't even gotten over this in this house.
Right.
The Christian church, they can bang a tambourine and love white folk all they want to.
Right.
Over here, nah, y'all need to pay. I need to see a bunch of white people get killed. I'm good. I'm good. I need to see a bunch of white people get killed defenselessly.
Right.
Keep going. What verse are you at?
That was 38. So.
Keep going.
Verse 30.
41.
Verse 39. Verse 39. Now when Mattathias and his friends understood hereof, they mourned for them right sore.
And that's the thing. Mattathias knew the law and knew they were wrong. Right? And we're about to see that. But at the end of the day, you killed 1,000 defenseless people, some of which were women and children.
Right.
Like, honestly speaking, I can't wait for the next Sabbath. I'm reading a little ahead, but I can't wait for the next Sabbath day.
Right.
Like, yeah, because I honestly pray to the Most High. It's the same group that killed 1,000. Because I got some words for you, my guy. And the word is slink. Keep going.
Verse 40. And one of them said to another, if we all do as our brethren have done, and fight not for our lives and laws against the heathen, they will now quickly root us out of the earth.
Okay, we stand there and die like them dudes. Yeah, there ain't gonna be no Jews left. Keep going.
Verse 41, at that time, therefore, they decreed, saying, whosoever shall come to make battle with us on the Sabbath day, we will fight against him, neither will we die all, as our brethren that were murdered in the secret places.
And that's what that was. That was a murder. They murdered those brothers, right? And they, okay, so Mattathias, being a wise man of the Most High, understood, nah, we serve a war deity. What's called, when our nation was first created, our women sung and danced while watching Africans' bodies run up on the seashore in Egypt.
Right.
And then made a song where we sing, the Most High is a man of war. I'm sorry, I was raised my whole life, what's called, hearing stories about a cat called David, or every 5 minutes, telling about, can I kill this one, can I kill this one, can I kill this one?
Right.
You're telling me none of those battles happen to happen on the Sabbath day? You're telling me our people during the time of Joshua, when we had to fight to get our land, you're telling me none of those long, elongated battles happened on the Sabbath? Come try to fight us on the Sabbath day and see what happens to you.
Right.
Okay, now we're going to get into a lot of these wars. Give me 61.
So like this, 5 minutes.
God.
Verse 42, when they said then came there unto him a company of Assyrians. I got this word Assyrians underlined. What was the reason for this? What is this?
Assyrians?
If I may, what was this taught, if I remember correctly, Salakia? Go into the movie 300.
Right.
When the what's that fag name? What the
Xerxes?
No, not Leonidas.
Leonidas.
Those men that was fighting with them that came out the mountains, were they the Assyrians?
I've never seen 300, so I wouldn't know. Yeah, Khan. It's all good. Khan, okay, yeah, Baba Kushai, give me 61.
Hold on, God, verse 61. And thus consider ye throughout all the ages.
Salakia. Oh, 30, yeah, 60, wait, hold up. 49, give me 49 real quick.
Oh, God, verse 49. Now, when the time drew near that Mattathias should die,
right,
he said unto his sons, now hath pride and rebuke gotten strength, and the time of destruction and the wrath of indignation. Verse 50.
Give me 61.
Come on.
Okay, so Mattathias is dying, and he's telling his last words to his son.
Verse 61.
Right.
And thus consider ye throughout.
Now stop, if I may, I'm gonna just go through it. Mattathias goes through many brothers inside the scriptures and throughout our history to show the faith that they had in times of turmoil.
God.
Right? For time's sake, I'm skipping through that and giving you the meat of what he wanted his sons to know.
God.
Keep going.
Verse 61. And thus consider ye throughout all ages, right, that none that have put their trust in him shall be overcome.
Right.
Verse 62. Fear not then the words of a sinful man.
And that's very important, especially in today's time. Don't fear what things can happen to you if you don't go against the Most High. Keep going.
For this glory shall be dung and worms.
For his glory shall be dung and worms. Meaning what? At the end of the day, everything great about him, to some point, will be nothing.
Right.
And that's the point. The beautiful thing about the truth is that we all know this as a people. Basically, the 7 brothers, all in different words, told the king the same thing. Like, you're great now, tomorrow you're going to be nothing. John said the same thing. That which is of this world is nothing, but he who served the Most High shall abide forever. I'm paraphrasing. Keep going.
Verse 63.
Right.
Today he shall be lifted up, and tomorrow he shall not be found.
Salakia, when's the last time the Greeks have been considered a world superpower? Like a few years ago, the Greeks were basically having riots with wheelbarrows of money because they're broke and their government's corrupt. Salakia, when's the last time Babylon was actually, when's the last time you actually heard Babylon other than in the truth and dealing with Rastafarians? When's the last time you really heard Rome other than, now mind you, Rome is prophesied to keep a little bit of power because of the Catholic Church and so on and so forth. But other than the actual empire, when's the last time they made any headway?
Haven't heard, sir.
Right? What about Egypt?
Haven't heard as well.
Keep going.
But on God, because he is returned into his dust.
Keep going.
And his thought is come to nothing.
Keep going.
Verse 64. Wherefore ye, my sons, be valiant.
Valiant, right?
Valiant.
Right.
And show yourselves men in the behalf of the Lord.
Show yourselves men in the behalf of the Lord. Meaning what? It is a crime to be a punk. It is a crime. It is a sin to be a coward. Okay? You must show yourselves a man on behalf of the Lord. What does that mean? Don't let someone in any situation, whether that be your beard, whether that be your woman controlling you, trying to say, I want Christmas, or I want a birthday, or I want Valentine's Day, show yourselves a man on behalf of the Lord. Keep going. Right.
For by it shall he obtain glory.
For by it you shall ye obtain glory. Why? People will never call you weak. People will never call you what's called if you say, nah, I'll leave this goddamn job. To hell with this job if it means I have to give up my culture. My culture is to keep my beard. So if you're telling me it's this beard or this job, to hell with all of y'all. What's called? If you're telling me it's either let you have Christmas or you're taking the kids and leaving, I'll start packing your stuff now. Okay? That's the valiance you need to show. Keep going.
Verse 65, and behold, I know that your brother Simon is a man of counsel.
Right?
Give ear unto him always. He shall be a father unto you.
Meaning what? He's also now saying, looking at his sons and saying which one can do which jobs and giving them positions. Right? Which is a wise thing to do. Keep going.
Verse 66, for as Judas Maccabeus, he hath been mighty and strong, even from his youth up.
Right.
Let him be a captain and fight the battle of the people. Verse 67.
Okay, meaning what? So now Judas Maccabeus is going to be the ones doing all the fighting for us. Keep going.
So like you said, you said Maccabeus or it's Maccabeus?
Maccabeus. I'll get the exact what's called for you.
Verse 67. Take also unto you all those that observe the law, and avenge ye the wrong of your people.
And that's what he wanted them to do. Now drop that, give me 3 and 1. Okay, that's basically Mattathias' last words. He basically died right after this. You know, we got about 20 some more minutes. Keep going.
First Maccabees chapter 3, verse 1.
Don't get out of here and tell me you're coming. Keep going.
Then his son Judas, called Maccabeus, rose up in his stead.
Right.
Verse 2.
So Mattathias has died. Keep going.
Verse 2. And all his brethren helped him, and so did all they that held with his father. And they fought with cheerfulness the battle of Israel.
Meaning what? So his family came together, and after, now mind you, ain't that something like we're a ragtag group of guerrilla warfare, and we have more brotherhood than the goddamn Greek Empire. Because the guy who made everything work for the Greeks was Alexander. The minute he died, his soldiers split up and what's called consolidated their power amongst each other, amongst themselves rather. What's called Mattathias does, his son, he puts his son in charge of the army, and everybody just says, nah, we're gonna follow you. Because that's what your daddy wanted, obviously. Keep going.
Verse 3.
Right.
So he gat his people great armor.
Right.
and put on a breastplate as a giant,
right?
and girt his warlike harness.
A giant like a warrior, like a giant doesn't necessarily mean giant person like they teach you in these schools or whatever. A giant just means a warrior or a titan. Keep going.
And girt his warlike harness about him, and he made battles, protecting the host with his sword.
Meaning what? He's going around killing everybody, right, and protecting everybody with his sword personally. Meaning he's going out doing all this killing, making sure the battles get won, right? Give me 16 and 22, and while you're at it, turn to Deuteronomy 20 and 2. Khan, at the same time.
Salakia. First Maccabees chapter 3, verse 16. And when he came near to the going up of Beth-horon, Judas went forth to meet him with a small company.
Right.
Verse 17. Who, when they saw the host coming to meet them, said unto Judas, how shall we be able, being so few, to fight against so great a multitude,
right,
and so strong, seeing we are ready to faint with fasting all this day?
Fasting all this day. Yo, you see how many men they got? So on and so forth. How are we going to do this? Keep going.
Salakia. Salakia.
Keep going.
Salakia. Verse 17. Salakia.
Khan.
No, Salakia. Verse 18.
Khan.
Unto whom Judas answered, it is no hard matter for many to be shut up in the hands of a few. And with the Most High of heaven, it is all one to deliver with a great multitude or a small company. Verse 19. For the victory of battle standeth not in a multitude of an host, but strength cometh from heaven. Verse 20.
Strength coming from where?
Heaven.
Keep going.
Verse 20. They come against us in much pride.
Now this is important. This is like the scripture for Hachaanakah. Like if you don't go to any other scripture for Hachaanakah, if you ever have to do the service, this is one scripture that should always be brought up. Come, read that from the top.
They come against us in much pride and iniquity to destroy us and our wives and children and to spoil us.
And to spoil us, meaning what? They're coming up here thinking that they're everything, that they're better than us, right? That they can do whatever they want to us unjustly. That's what iniquity is. Iniquity is crime or sin, right? To destroy us, right? And our wives and our children, and to spoil us, meaning to rob us. Okay, keep going.
Verse 21. But we fight.
But what?
But.
What?
But.
However, all that considered.
But.
Keep going.
We fight for our lives.
We fight for what?
Our lives.
Our what?
Lives.
And
our Lord.
Our what?
Lord.
Our what?
Lords.
And that's the power of it. They come up against us with much pride and iniquity, right? To destroy us, to destroy our families, destroy to rob us, right? But at the end of the day, we're fighting for our lives here.
Right.
We're fighting for our laws. We're fighting so that we can live the way we want to live. Okay? Keep going.
Verse 22. Wherefore the Most High himself will overthrow them before our face. And as for you, be ye not afraid of them.
Now, you got Deuteronomy? Give me Deuteronomy 20 and 2.
20 and 2?
Yeah, come.
Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 2.
Now I'm going to explain something to you. What Judas just did is a law. Okay? What Judas just did is a law that has to happen every battle.
Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 2. And it shall be when ye are come nigh unto the battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people.
Judas Maccabeus is a priest. Judas Maccabeus is a child of a Levite. He's a son of Levi. Keep going.
Verse 3, and shall say unto them, and shall say unto them, Hear, O Israel.
Hear, O Israel, right?
Ye approach this day unto the battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint. Fear not, and do not tremble.
Say that again. Let not what?
Come. Let not your hearts faint. Fear not.
What not?
Fear not.
What not?
Fear not.
You are not allowed to fear on the battlefield. That is a sin. Keep going.
And do not tremble.
And you are not allowed to tremble. Keep going.
Neither be ye terrified because of them.
You are not allowed to be afraid on the battlefield. Okay? And here's the thing. Judas is letting his men know this. Back in Maccabees. Keep going.
Verse 4. For the Most High your power is he that goeth with you to fight for you against your enemies, to save you. Verse 5.
Now you can drop that. Give me go back to Maccabees. Now give me 3 and 54.
Got to work hard.
Come. We about to finish off.
First Maccabees chapter 3, verse 54. Then sounded they with trumpets and cried with a loud voice. Verse 55. And after this Judas ordained captains over the people, even captains over thousands, and over hundreds, and over fifties, and over tens. Verse 56. But as for such as were building houses, or had betrothed wives, or were planting vineyards, or were fearful, those he commanded that they should be turned.
Meaning what? There are certain laws, like a cat who just took a wife is allowed to stay home. If you're a cow, understand, no one's actually going to come out and say, I'm a coward, I don't want to go to war, but that cat is also allowed to stay home. Keep going.
Every man to his own house according to the law. Verse 57. So the camp removed and pitched upon the south side of Emmaus. Verse 58. And Judas said, Arm yourselves and be valiant men, and see that ye be in readiness against the morning, that ye may fight with these nations, and are assembled together against us to destroy us in our sanctuary. Verse 59. For it is better for us to die in battle.
In what?
In battle.
In what?
In battle.
Keep going.
Than to behold the calamities of our people in our sanctuary.
That's better for us. It's better for us to die in battle than to sit around and watch people be destroyed.
Good. Verse.
Give me, now you can drop that. Give me 4 and 28. We about to end off in a second.
So like you said, 4 and
28, Salakia.
First Maccabees chapter 4, verse 28. The next year, therefore, following Messiahs gathered together 70,000 chose men of foot, and 5,000 horsemen, that they might subdue them.
Right.
Verse 29. So they came into Idumea and pitched their tents at Bersura, and Judas met them with 10,000 men. Verse 30. And when he saw that mighty army, he prayed and said, Blessed art thou, O Savior of Israel, who didst quell the violence of the mighty man by the hand of thy servant David, and gavest the host of strangers unto the hands of Jonathan the son of Saul, and his arm-bearer. Verse 31.
Keep going.
Shut up this army in the hand of thy people Israel.
Now, see, understand that even when we did go out and we did get our own freedom, we went through the Most High. That's who we ask to arm ourselves. King David, who you just mentioned, prayed, is the man who prayed, I'd rather, I'd rather you, my hand lose its cunning than to lose your spirit. Keep going.
And let them be confounded in their power and horsemen.
Right.
Verse 32. Make them to be of no courage, and cause the boldness of their strength to fall away, and let them quake at their destruction. Verse 33. Cast them down with the sword of them that love thee.
Right.
And let all those that know thy name praise thee with thanksgiving.
Meaning what? I'm praying to you and asking you to deal with these people. Keep going.
Verse 34. So they joined battle, and there were slain of the host of Lysias about 5,000 men. Even before them were they slain. Verse 35. Now when Lysias saw this army put to flight.
Meaning what? They joined the battle and they were slain. Meaning 5,000 men. We killed 5,000 of this cat's men. Read on.
And the manliness of Judas' soldiers.
Meaning what? Meaning he saw what Judas said last time. We fight for our lives and our laws. The Greeks later say this, like when they end the war, they're like, yo, we need to end this because this is really, we're literally hemorrhaging money fighting these cats who literally want nothing other than to not eat pork. Are we really going to spend all this money to really force somebody to eat pork? And they're like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Just y'all can do whatever y'all want. We're not going to deal with this no more. Keep going.
And how they were ready either to live or die valiantly.
They were ready to what?
They were ready either to live or die valiantly.
Okay, and that's what the scripture said earlier. By this you'll be respected and glorified. He was glorified. Why? Judas wasn't glorified by having to sit down with Lysias. He was glorified because Lysias knew, nah, Judas isn't going to take anything else other than I'm leaving for an answer. Okay, I see what he's about. I see not to mess with him. Keep going.
He went into Antiochia and gathered together a company of strangers, and having made his army greater than it, was he purposed to come again unto Judea. Verse 36. And said Judas, then said Judas and his brethren, behold, our enemies are discomfited. Let us go up to cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary.
And dedicate the sanctuary, and that's what we're here for. The dedication of the sanctuary. Give me 52 and we're about to end off.
Come on,
come.
Verse 52. Now on the 25th day of the 9th month
of Caslow,
which is called the month of Caslow, in the 148th year, they rose up betimes in the morning. Verse 53. And offered sacrifice unto the Lord upon the new altar of burnt offerings, which they had made.
Meaning what? If you go back a little before, we had to go and we had to recreate all the things the heathens either destroyed or stole. Right? So we had to make a whole new altar. We had to make a whole new menorah or candlestick, so on and so forth. Right? So now we're rededicating our temple to the Most High. Right? Keep going.
Verse 54. Look at what time and what day the heathen have profaned it. Even that was dedicated with songs and with citharns and harps and cymbals.
55. Yeah.
Verse 55.
Okay.
Then all the people fell upon their faces, worshiping and praising the Most High of heaven, who had given them good success. Verse 56. So they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days.
They kept this dedication 8 days. Okay. We do not light a candle on each day. We light every candle every day. Keep going.
And offered burnt offerings with gladness. So like I said, can we also mention that the heathen, they have what?
Oh, right. The heathen is idiotic for whatever reason, even though that ends up being 9. They're retarded. Heathens, if you'll notice, this menorah only has 6 because that's how a menorah is.
Right.
These simpletons want to add one more set to make it 8, even though that technically makes it 9.
God.
Okay, the menorah should only have 7 candles.
God.
Keep going.
And offered burnt offerings with gladness.
With gladness, keep going.
And sacrifice the sacrifice of deliverance and praise.
Keep going.
Verse 57. They decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold and with shields.
And with shields.
So like I said, in this case, is it the shields of David or just like shields?
I'll get back to you.
Of armor. Come. And the gates and the chambers they renewed and hang doors upon them.
Meaning what? They blew out the doors on our temple. Okay. Now drop that. Give me 59. We're about to end up there.
57, 59. Verse 59. Moreover, Judas and his brethren with the whole congregation of Israel ordained that the days of dedication of the altar should be kept in their season from year to year. And that's what we are doing throughout these days. That's okay. Right. That's why these candles are technically lit, right? That's why that's why the other week we had food and so on and so forth. This is a 8-day long feast or festival for our people. Keep going. And Slide, if I may, we're going to be closing out this Wednesday.
Right, we're going to be closing out this Wednesday, so stay tuned. It'll probably be on online classes or headquarters. Not sure which one. Keep going.
By the space of 8 days.
By the space of 8 days. Keep going.
From the 5th and 20th day of the month of Cassilon, with mirth and gladness. Verse 60.
And that's it. And with that, pass the class over to Priest and Officer Shaul.
Clap it up for the class. Most High in Christ.
Most High in Christ.